Thank you, everyone, for coming, and welcome to tonight's work session on the budget for Monday, May the 11th, 2026. Going to pass it over to Karen, but our city manager, before I do, just wanted to thank the effort that went into this, and for those folks at home or were watching this at some point in the future. This is the beginning of really the discussions in a public way around the budget. The questions that we'll have will ultimately determine what the final budget is, and to be adopted at some point in June. Shooting for June 8th, but once we open the public hearing at the next council meeting, and we will have public comment tonight, but the public hearing will be open to remain open as long as is required for us to have the information that we need to be able to pass a final budget. We'll need to do that before the end of June, and we'll strive to do that at the first meeting of June. But with that, Karen, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here this evening. We are getting our presentation ready. This has been a collaborative effort across the organization to understand and honor the guidance issued by you, and also in understanding the sentiments of the residents of the city. So what we're going to do tonight is walk through the slides. This will be very similar to last year. I'll open up with a couple of introductory slides. Nathan will take you through the meat of the budget summary, and then each of our department heads has one slide to talk about what's new for this coming year, or what might be a challenge or something they'd like to highlight. Ideally, if you would hold questions till the end, that would be best, but certainly if something's catching your attention, we want to honor that as well. So the first thing to honor what the mayor said, this is the budget timeline to show what we've completed to date, to talk about where we are, and that is at tonight's first budget work session. So tonight is the first of 5 more nights, or 5 total nights of public comment and participation throughout this process. So you will remember that the guidance discussed at the February council meeting was less about the dollar increase and dollar percentage increase, and more in understanding the impact and the increase in the tax rate. And we heard somewhere in the 3 to 5% range. We also heard no new positions unless funded without impact to the taxpayers. And for the public at home, this is a refresh of the goals that this council set at the beginning of their term in January. So coming up is something that the staff has worked on collaboratively, as I mentioned. We understand as an organization that we all fit together in this process. What I want to talk about is, in honoring your guidance, where we stack up comparatively to other communities. The city of Dover passed their budget, which is an 8.8% increase, of which 7.1% is general fund increase. The town of Exeter total budget increase was up 11.7%. The city of Concord is yet to move with its city budget, but the school district has seen an impact to the average single-family home real estate tax bill of $724 on a $400,000 valued home. The town of Londonderry is up almost 7%, and the town of Salem is up 7.76%. So with that, we'll roll right into what comprises our budget. This is a slide you've seen before. This largely did not change. These are the different elements or components of our budget. What we'd like to spend tonight talking about are some of the things that have impacted us in this coming fiscal year. And the bucket on the left speaks to salaries and benefits. For contractual obligations, you'll recall that the COLA 10-year rolling average is 3.03. The collective bargaining number we've placed in the budget this year for 5 of the unions currently in negotiation is $460,000. For health insurance, you've heard us speak to this a lot this spring. There is a 26.2% increase in school, an 11.4% increase in city, an overall 21.4% increase. We've also coupled those drivers with some strategic staffing reductions, largely thanks to the school and DPW efforts. What we'll talk about moving forward in the slides are the addition of a position in fire that is completely paid for with savings from workers' comp, and the understanding of bringing a part-time inspector into the inspection group full-time from being a shared position with DPW. In terms of revenue, we have what we conservatively estimate for motor vehicle and permits and ambulance fees. We've budgeted a reduction in interest earnings in the coming year, down $170,000 based on what we understand the market to bring. And the use of fund balance in the coming year is projected at 3.5%, which is down slightly over the prior year. In the non-operating category, property and liability coverage is up the $160,000. The Rockingham County tax is estimated at 4%, or $6.2 million of our total budget. They have made inroads and conversations about a higher number, and Nathan will speak to that in a moment. And new for this year will be annual carrying costs that you will see in every budget for both the police, computer-aided dispatch and record management software, along with the city's enterprise resource planning software known as Port Edge. With that, I will turn it over to Nathan.
Good evening, folks, and welcome, councilors, mayor. The proposed budget in front of you tonight is $157,971,390. It's an increase year over year of $7.676 million and 5.11% more than the FY26 budget as it stands. It's worth noting, as the manager mentioned a second ago, that health insurance costs are rising. It's the largest driver of our budget this year. Of the total 5.11% increase, 2.21% is attributable solely to the health insurance cost increases citywide. All remaining elements of the budget as proposed represent an increase year over year of 2.9%. The budget calls for staffing levels. The manager mentioned a moment ago some reductions. Over all funds, the budget calls for staffing levels that are 6.32 FTEs lower than in the prior year. Within those changes of 6.32 positions, 9.06, 9 and a fraction, are reduced from the general fund this year. And 1.6 and 1.4 FTEs respectively are added in enterprise and special revenue funds that we'll speak more of later this evening, and then on Wednesday night in the presentation from staff about water, sewer, enterprise, as well as special revenues. The estimated tax impact of the budget as presented, it would result in a tax rate of $12.07 per thousand. Current tax rate is $11.51 per thousand, so the increase would be 56 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. That's a 4.88% increase year over year, and it projects as a $435 increase on the median single-family home valued at $777,200. On the next slide, we'll talk about the breakdown between general operating and non-operating. That's how we reference the general fund and break it down on an annual basis. Remind you that the operating budget speaks to staffing and programmatic costs generally. Non-operating is where we put our overhead and infrastructure costs. Those include debt, capital investment, the county tax, replacement of information technology, and the like. The proposed operating budget represents 82% of the gross budget, and it's growing 5.59%. Non-operating is the remaining 18%, and it's increasing this year 2.88%. Take a moment and on the next slide, break down the 5.11%. The slide is very busy, and you can see it better in the paper in front of you. Folks at home will appreciate it. Those in the audience, if they didn't pick up the document, won't be able to follow. A lot of information, but provided for posterity, as this will live throughout the process and into the future on the web. The city's challenges with health insurance costs have been very public, often discussed over the last several months. In fact, you were all with us when we hosted the New Hampshire Secretary of State in this very chamber at your March 16th meeting to discuss the topic of health insurance. Health insurance premiums, or contributions as you may hear us refer to them at times, are increasing 26.2% on school employees who are covered by school care with Cigna, and 11.4% for all other city employees who are covered by a health trust with Anthem plans. Again, I said a moment ago that the total amount of health increase represents 2.21% of the 511. It's a total of $3,323,000 for FY27. And again, the rest of the proposed budget after health is 2.9. The slide, when you have a chance to review it later, will give you the opportunity to consider not only compartmentalized or component-wise the elements of the budget, including general government versus the charter departments, fire, police, and school department, but also within each of those, the amount of their year-over-year increase that's related to health versus all other elements in their proposed budget. So you have this slide for reference later. It's a busy slide, but again, it offers some information on the categorical level. In the next slide, we've carried this for a couple of years and want to continue. It offers a breakdown of the total appropriated general fund budget, giving you components that you can find in the budget book so that you can connect the presentation with the book. The charter departments of fire, police, and school departments total 64% overall of the total proposed operating. Non-operating elements combine for 18% roughly, and the rest of general government accounts for the remaining 18%. On the next slide, talk about salaries and benefits. Remind you that salaries and benefits again this year account for roughly 68% of the total budget as proposed. The health rates we talked about increasing. Dental rates in the category of benefits, they're up 4.4% on the city side, 4.0% for schools. If there were a blessing on the benefit side at all this year, the bright spot is the New Hampshire retirement was in the second year of its biennial cycle, so our rates for New Hampshire retirement contributions are unchanged this year. What that means is that there'll be a challenge for us next year, no doubt. But for this year, there should be no change other than that which is dictated by increasing salaries. The next slide speaks to our cost of living adjustment, the COLA. The city has employed the same COLA calculation for a number of years. It has proven to be successful. Many of the settled union contracts at this point, maybe all of them, lean on this calculation, not all of them, nearly all of them, lean on this calculation for their annual change in compensation. It's an average of the most recent 10 years of the Consumer Price Index. This year, that average of the last 10 years was 3.03%, which is the COLA that's been applied throughout this budget. The slide notes the COLA included in the unshaded union boxes. Those that are shaded here represent unions working with the city that are expiring June 30th of 2026 and are either in negotiations or headed into negotiations. The costs related to settlement of those agreements are carried in a collective bargaining contingency line that you'll notice in the operating portion of the proposed budget. That operating cost this year is projected at $460,000. On the next slide, the staffing changes. It's a reduced version of a very busy page that you'll find on page 284. No, just a guess. I forget. On a page in the budget book, you'll find this document. We've taken out some of the lines where there's some redundancy to make it fit and be meaningful on the slide. But I wanted you to know of the reductions proposed in general fund, a net of 9.06 reduction. 2.5 net reduction is general government. The fire department, as we mentioned a moment ago, the manager suggested is adding 1 FTE, a training officer. And in the school department, there was a net reduction of 7.56 FTEs in the school department, all netting to that 9.06 reduction. And as I mentioned, additionally, there are other FTEs being added in water sewer, parking, and in special revenues. Otherwise, we'll discuss that more later on Wednesday night.
Nathan, it's page 190.
190.
One's reference.
All right, I was way too deep into the book. 190. 814 pages, I think, the published budget book this year. That was supposed to be my "did you know" comment later, I think, so I'll have to dream something new up. Another slide that we include in the presentation for posterity, but wanted to provide you this for the information that it holds. This is the current proposed FY27 year from a staffing perspective compared against the prior 4 years. Each year, the total staffing change as proposed is in the shaded line across the top, and then not an exhaustive list, but a listing of the primary movers of FTEs changing in that fiscal cycle as proposed are listed below. It's interesting to note, I think, total reductions in the last 2 years, this year and 26 and 27, I should say, nearly 21.5 FTEs proposed for reduction, almost 20 of those from the general fund in this year and last. In the next slide, we offer a budget breakdown, and again, I won't read you the slide. It's good for reference later. But I have mentioned salary and benefits account for about 68%. Our transfers to our special revenue funds of Prescott Park Indoor Pool and Community Campus, are only about 6/10 of the total budget. Other operating lines add up to about 13.6, and the non-operating, I've mentioned this before, are 18%. So in the next few slides, I want to drill down into the departments, into a perspective where they are clumped in the book so that you can tie these back to the budget book. In each of the slides, we reference the total increase as proposed in the request, the change that is, the total budget as proposed, the change that's requested, and how it compares against the entire budget. In this case, general administration has a request this year of a little over $8.1 million. It is 5% of the total budget. The change is almost $473,000, which is 6.17%. Interesting to note, or important to note, that without health, this increase would be 2.75, because this is the section of the budget that includes general government benefits for everyone who's not the charter departments, police, fire, and school. Within general administration, there are savings in the clerk's office from new hires. In elections, there's an increase, reflecting an increase from 1 to 2 elections budgeted for in this next cycle. And in economic and community development, an item that I'm sure we can discuss through the course of the budget cycle, which is an increase in our support to the Chamber of Commerce of $10,000, a line that hasn't changed in many, many years, reflecting new ideas and the important work that they're doing in support of the city's efforts. That's general administration. The finance area is a request of $3.1 million. Finance itself is just under 2% of the total budget, and this year's increase of $111,000 is 3.66% year over year. Finance department includes the assessing and tax offices, additionally payroll, procurement, billing, and cash management, in addition to the core accounting services serving the city. The increase reflects primarily COLA and contracted changes. It also accounts for the contracted cost increase estimated for an annual audit. In the next category in this slide is general government. That request is just over $1.1 million, and it's flat this year. It's just over 0.7% of the total budget. It's a catch-all category, if you will, that includes core systems like postage and phones, copying. It has budgets to support internships. Our leave at termination budget on an annual basis is here. And in this case, any increases are offset by savings. So flat element of the budget. Next up is regulatory services. $2.6 million is the request. It's 1.65% of the total budget, and the increase this year is just shy of $130,000, which is 5.22% year over year. The changes here are largely track and step contractual obligations along with COLA. It does, though, include, as I mentioned earlier, the increased inspector that jumped from 40% to 100% to start the fiscal year, more than offset by permit revenues. Next up is Public Works. In Public Works, by the way, is the general fund home of the DPW. We call it Highway. So Public Works Highway in this case includes facilities, solid waste removal, snow removal, equipment maintenance, the trees program. The request is $8.25 million. It totals 5.22% of the overall budget. And this year the change is just $72,000, an increase of less than 1%, 0.88%, because the staffing request included is a reduction of 3.1 FTEs. Some of that is reorganization of positions and funding. I can tell you that the entire DPW umbrella shows a net reduction across all funds this year, but DPW is up just 0.88%. Next up is community services. Community services is a request of $4.7 million. It's 3% of the total budget as requested. This year's increase is $92,500, a change of 2% year over year. Community services are important to a healthy community. It's a definite point of pride for the city of Portsmouth. Still, community services are among those that deserve review, and we look each year for efficiencies to weigh optional versus core functions. In this year, the library's budget will stand at $2.4 million. It's an increase of just $52,000, up just 2.18%. The library is working and committed to finding grants and other offsets to help offset increases in that budget. The Recreation Department is $1,200,000, an increase of $47,000. It's up 4%, essentially flat with just track and step along with COLA. Senior Services is at $255,000, increasing just $6,500, 2.61% overall, and again, essentially flat with salary obligations. In the area of public welfare, the budget's $511,000. It's decreasing this year by 4.81%. It's down $25,857 due to some reductions made in direct assistance, which offset the COLA impacts in that budget. And in the other area, the area of outside social services, total budget of $262,000. That's an increase of just called $11,500. This continues to fund support for 23 local social service agencies supporting residents of Portsmouth. So the whole area of community services up the 2%. Now we move to the charter departments, and I mentioned fire. Fire department is a request of $12.9 million. It's 8.18% of the total city budget as proposed. Its increase this year is just under $30,000, $29,930. It's an increase of less than 0.25%, 0.23. Fire has expiring contracts, both the fire officers and firefighters. So a large part of the collective bargaining contingency that you'll note is saved for fire. Additionally, fire saved over $194,000 in workers' compensation this year. That was a result of the carrier re-rating risk across the state and the difference between volunteer and call-in firefighters and their risk versus the professional full-time firefighters like Portsmouth has. And ultimately, those are permanent savings. Insurances will always climb probably, but in this case, this is a real savings that will be lasting for the fire department. And they are adding a training officer against that savings this year. The chief will discuss more, I'm sure. Moving on then to the police department. Police department's request is just under $16.2 million. It represents effectively 10% of the total budget. The increase in police this year is $1.1 million, an increase of 7.41%. Police has its settled contracts, so this budget includes COLA for the year. But the greatest impact is that the proposal makes up for the impact of the MOU approved this year by the Council for the Patrolmen. That adjustment was anticipated to cost on an annual basis a little better than $400,000. We did not do a supplemental appropriation this year. We were able to move from the contingency that already existed $120,000 to help with that. The rest is being supported by savings elsewhere in the budget, competing now with the school cares assessment bill. But the biggest impact that you'll find in the police department is the impact of accommodating not only the 27 COLA, but the impacts of that patrolman's MOU. Next up is the school department. The school department's request is $71.6 million. You have been involved in much of that conversation with the school board. Schools are 45% of the total budget, and the change this year is $4.38 million, an increase of 6.51%. Without health, it's important to note that the increase would be $1.6 million and just 2.42%. The schools have 5 unions, and 2 of them are negotiating. The schools have more than 5 unions. My notes are wrong. Schools have multiple unions. 2 of them are negotiating. 2 of our 5 that are negotiating are in the schools. And so the COLA for all others are reflected here in their budget. The budget includes a net reduction of the 7.56 FTEs that we talked about previously. Next up is the talk about the collective bargaining. Again, there are the 5 that we're negotiating with: fire officers and firefighters, Public Works 1386 with the paras and the school custodial supervisors. The total amount here is $460,000. Transfers represent just over 0.6% of the total budget. The city operates these 3 properties and programs through special revenue funds. This request is an increase of $33,369. It's up 3.54% year over year, essentially driven by COLA, staffing, and master agreements across the board. And last up in this series of slides is non-operating. The request under the non-operating budget is $27.8 million and represents 17.6, almost 18% of the total budget. The increase here is $778,608. It's up 2.88%. If I were to walk through them, I would tell you basically that in the area of debt service, we're essentially flat year over year. The increase in the budget is just over $15,000 against 14-something million. Property and liability, there was a measurable increase, an increase seen like others across the state in the risk pools that we're a part of. It's a total of $160-some thousand, but 33%. The county tax is higher in this budget by $225,000 almost, and assumes a 4% year-over-year increase. I attended the county budget hearing last week. Their budget, lots of hard work done. Their budget is up 1.67%. It represents new money of $1.77 million. But the county is looking to assess us in taxes within Rockingham a total of 13% more than prior year, $7.2 million. So they need $1.78 million for their budget, but they need $7.2 million from taxpayers overall, essentially because the $32.3 million fund balance they were carrying in FY23 is gone, and now they need to add money to their fund balance. It was an uncomfortable conversation. You can see the video online. I hope that I represented the city well enough as I asked them the questions and told them I thought it was crazy that they had taken a $32.3 million fund balance and now needed to pad the fund balance. I didn't say out loud that it felt like school care, but it does. And I would welcome any opportunity to serve you in helping to pursue the delegation in trying to soften that blow year over year. I will tell you that the chair of the commission, Commissioner Kate Coyle, met with me briefly after the public hearing and was quick to provide me with great information and committed to making herself available to serve Portsmouth and explain as she's able. And so I would commend to the council that that's a resource that is available to you and us, and look forward to your guidance in how you might want to pursue that moving forward. Also, back to non-operating IT equipment, the increase is $105.9 thousand. I will thank the IT staff who helped identify reductions of $160,000 from that which was approved in the CIP. Additionally, the capital outlay is reduced $390,000 from the CIP. It's now flat year over year from FY26. And the supplemental appropriation you approved a month ago for outside counsel is not renewed. So there's a savings there. Additionally, I guess I should comment that under the category of SABITA, our subscription-based information technology agreements, essentially our catch-all software budget, there are increases there, but more than just the ongoing operating impact of software. This year, as we added the body cams and taser contract a year ago, this year we add two new major categories. One is the operating impact of the police department's CAD RMS, computer-aided dispatch and records management system, which is online now. So you'll see the impact of that annual cost this year, and you'll see the first impact of the carrying cost annually for the PortEdge ERP accounting and HR solution that's coming on as well. Those round out the rest of the non-operating impact this year. So a couple of summary slides. This is the total proposed operating budget that we've just reviewed. On the next slide, the total proposed non-operating budget and the elements that I was just walking through. Let me dig for just a moment into three core elements of our non-operating. First is debt service. Remind you that debt service is driven by our annual CIP process. This was driven or directed by the vote that you took in December on the fiscal 27 to fiscal 32 CIP. City policy directs that our net debt service should remain less than 10% of annual appropriations each year. It manages, this is our borrowing program year over year to fund capital projects, and the net debt service that we anticipate in FY27 as proposed is 7.64% of the appropriation. On the next slide, capital outlay, just another budget element related to investment in infrastructure. Capital outlay is our pay-as-you-go program of cash investment, and city policy directs in this case that the outlay be a current appropriation of up to 2% of the prior year's general fund budget. The capital outlay total, as I said a moment ago, of $1.56 million is unchanged year over year. We reduced this to a flat budget request. That request of $1.56 million is just above the 10-year average of the dollars you have been committing to capital outlay through the budget. And on the next slide, we include list for public review of the elements that were included in the CIP and the $390,000 of adjustments made through the budget process. The last of these three that I'd speak to is our rolling stock. It's our vehicle and large equipment replacement plan. The budget this year for FY27 is $836,500, which is $47,500 more than in FY26. It's a 6% year-over-year increase, and the list that you'll find in the slide identifies the projected replacements with those dollars this year. That should bring us back now to tax rate impact. And the 56 cents representing $435 against the median single-family home estimated tax rate of $12.07. Before we move into the departments, though, I thought I could share with you just a little more about PortEdge, because I think it's important to the conversation ongoing. PortEdge is our new ERP. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, but in this case, it's really our core financial and human resource management system. We have undertaken now about 6 months with the product. The PortEdge is a multi-year, multi-department initiative, modernization and an upgrade to our core systems. The solution we're implementing right now is the Enterprise ERP solution from Tyler Technologies. They're based in Tyler, Texas, but really they're based, in this case, in Yarmouth, which is where it's the home of the product that we're actually using. And we've had the luxury of some remote work already, but also many on-site visits, because those folks are right here with a strong presence in the municipalities throughout New Hampshire as well. We've named the project PortEdge, trying hard to manage an initiative that is far-reaching and has great impact. Anchored in tradition, driven by innovation, important perspective on the work that we'll do. The solution will impact accounting and purchasing and budgeting and billing and receipting and payroll and multiple facets of our human resources. Core elements of the solution should go live in calendar 27 and in calendar 28, with additional ancillary solutions being implemented thereafter as dollars and need serve. The punchline, I think, is that PortEdge is and will be a primary focus for many of the city departments as we work towards go live and full implementation. So I would ask you to consider that, or keep that in mind as departments talk about the great initiatives that they're launching. This is reaching into every employee's time entry, every employee's request for leave, the purchasing and requesting of purchases across all departments throughout the city. So there's a lot of learning curve that will be impacting multiple departments throughout the city.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
We will now walk through the departments, and I'd like to jump to my second bullet to emphasize what Nathan was speaking to. This will be and has been the focus for over 9 months now. In addition to people's full-time jobs, they are literally trying to stand up and convert the system. So we have been mindful to take care of the staff during this process, and that will be, as Nathan said, the focus for the next 18 months or so. So in addition to the responsibilities of city manager to include budget preparation, working with the council to implement policy, leading city staff, and managing city property, we have to have some fun. We're here a lot. This is our home away from home. And the top photo shows me spending time at the Sustainability Fair, which not only benefits residents, but it benefits the staff to the extent that we kind of have fun with this. We bond through this, and our staff work really hard to stand up and promote some of the products, the programs that we offer. So I'm really proud of the staff. This was just one fun example. And what I want to share here in a goal that I had last year that I've been able to implement with thanks to the library is spending half of the time bringing government to the people, if you will, and making government more accessible, spending time once a month at the library, holding office hours for the city manager, and now we're back transitioned to the farmers market. Now we're back outside. So thank you to Christine and her staff for taking good care of me during the winter months. Next up is our HR Director, Kelly Harper.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to share an update on the work of our HR team. We're a four-person team supporting more than 3,000 customers in total, which includes family members. We meet that demand through strong cross-department coordination and a consistent focus on timely, high-quality service. There are 3 areas of progress I'd like to highlight tonight. First is mental well-being support. 3 of us became certified through the National Council for Mental Well-being and Mental Health First Aid. The training helped us recognize signs of mental health and substance use challenges, offer initial support, and connect people to appropriate resources. In HR, a routine call or visit can be someone's hardest day, so these skills strengthen how we care for employees and retirees. Second is our benefits work, both enhancing what we offer and helping people understand what's available. We've implemented a new monthly update, Understanding Your Benefits, which explains plan details in plain language and highlights practical ways to save. We've also introduced a site of service, additional health plan option to guide care to lower cost savings when appropriate. Third, we're in the early stages of implementing our new human capital management system, PortEdge. This fiscal year alone, I've manually signed around 2,000 personnel action sheets, which we utilize for things like step increases, promotions, transfers, new hires. With the new system, those action sheets will be electronic. PortEdge will give us one integrated platform to manage the full employee life cycle, from recruiting and onboarding to time and attendance, benefits administration, payroll support, and reporting using a single system of record. Overall, we're excited about these positive changes because each one strengthens how we serve employees, retirees, and partners, and helps us deliver timely support with a small team. Thank you for your continued support.
Thanks, Kelly. Kelly's up.
Thank you. This year in the city clerk's office, we're going to be working closely with the Board of Registrars and moderators in order to run some very smooth elections. I'm really excited. We have the new Voting Works tabulators that I know that you've used for a couple elections now, and the poll pads, which both greatly help with the efficiency of our elections. And I'm looking forward to working with the elections team to, find ways to make our elections move even more smoothly. In addition, we're working on new meeting management software that's going to help increase our efficiency when we're getting materials ready for meetings and post-meeting minutes and whatnot. So,
Thanks,
I'm
Kelly.
excited.
Susan, you're up.
Hi, good evening. So in the legal department, I was asked to do a did you know? So you probably already know this, but maybe more for the public. We hear a lot about litigation and litigation settlements and costs, et cetera, but really the majority of our work in the legal department is legal compliance. And we meet that through what you see in our statistics in the budget book for our right-to-know requests, our contract reviews, our special events, licenses and leases, and all of that work that is coordinated throughout the departments to ensure we comply with state and federal and local laws. So for our accomplishments, you've heard for the last year or two the implementation of our case management system. We're trying to take legal from a paper office to an electronic and digital format, and our program is called HiQ. And we finally really implemented our assessing component. So as part of our litigation case management system, the assessing department has access to that section of our litigation where they can put in all the tax abatement requests. And then if an abatement is denied and it's appealed, it becomes a legal matter. And now legal has all of the background information in the system already, rather than what we were working with was like 4 or 5 Excel spreadsheets and assessing, multiple spreadsheets and legal, multiple files, and now we can share that information and collaborate better. So working more efficiently. So that's one example. Another example of working more efficiently is that we have acquired a program called Co-Counsel, which is an AI facilitated legal research and writing program. It's part of our Westlaw research contract. And not only does it do research, but it does drafts, it reviews drafts, does analysis and provides analysis of legal pleadings. So it's been very helpful so far, and we're also finding other uses for it in our right-to-know requests and reviewing of documents. We've done a lot of training, not only for boards and commissions, but also for law enforcement. Our prosecution office did a statewide law enforcement training for enhancing victim interactions and prosecution of assaults. And then I've also put in here as accomplishments, resolutions of lawsuits. And I'll just say most notably recently, we finalized a case that's been pending for over 7 years. It was a tax abatement issue with City versus Mackey and an eminent domain dispute, where we took just a little piece of land in Durham to fix our pipes, to get our water from Madbury under Little Bay. And we've been in litigation with them for 7 years about what the value of that little piece of property was, and recently it was settled through mediation. So those are our accomplishments that I wanted to mention. Initiatives. We are facing some ADA compliance requirements for our website, and we'll be working on those with other departments. We are taking our special events and liquor review matters and putting them into the OpenGov system. So again, trying to be more efficient and collaborative with our other departments and making the workflow run more smoothly. In addition, we're now part of the International Municipal Lawyers Association, the IMLA. We've been getting involved with them. We have access to their training and attending their seminars, and it's been a great advancement for all of the staff.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
CIO Ryan Babcock is up next.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. Ryan Babcock, Chief Information Officer. My fact is that in a calendar year, there were over 185,000 PDFs downloaded from the city's website, and the most popular PDF was the zoning ordinances, so kind of makes sense. These 4 areas up here speak to what we do as the IT department, and even though they're independent, they really reinforce each other. Network modernization is really key right now. So currently, if you're at the parking garage or maybe you're at community campus, all that traffic gets backhauled to City Hall to get to the internet. We want to allow those individual sites to access the internet directly so that they can get to our cloud resources more efficiently and promote faster work for everyone who's working across the city. And that leads into digital services. So our ability to break the network out into smaller networks that are more manageable and more resilient really fits into our cloud and SaaS migration, getting away from using internal things that are housed in the data center here in City Hall and allowing them to go directly to the internet. And that fits really closely into the ERP as well, because getting off of the old financial system. Support services plays into that because we need to train people to use these new systems, and we need to be able to support them and manage them and also implement them securely. And cybersecurity plays into that too, because we're moving from this hard candy shell where we just keep all the bad guys out, where now we're moving to a more diverse and split up network, cloud resources. And so our ability to increase visibility and get information quickly and act on it really matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Clancy, you're up next.
Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors. I'm Sean Clancy, responsible for economic and community development. Portsmouth has been an economic hub since before the United States existed. First fishing, then shipbuilding, then manufacturing and brewing. Now tourism, tech, small business, just to name a few. We've been mixed use for well over 400 years. In this way, our present is connected to our past. Regarding economic and community development, as in the past, balance, connectivity, and collaboration are foundational to support our business community and our community in general. This certainly remains so as we move into the new fiscal year. Planned for FY27 are improved database capabilities and, most importantly, visitor data collection and analysis. You know, we have a partnership with the chamber that Nathan alluded to. They really do a lot of work outside of tourism, connecting groups, whether they are small businesses or BAPOC businesses or just different, as well as addressing policy issues like childcare and affordable housing that we are all very familiar with. So looking forward to working with them and working with some new tools to give all of us more data, not only for the business community, but for all of my fellow departments here at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Nathan's back up now.
Make it as brief as I can, folks, and just remind you the Port Edge conversation we had earlier has a significant impact on the finance department. We'll talk more about some of the really inventive solutions that are included in this application. I want to call out the tax and assessing elements of the finance department. They are our customer-facing teammates. They're working hard at driving new online resources, payments, data, et cetera, working hard to try to bring city business to you where you are, to make the lives of very active residents as flexible as can be when doing business with the city. The accounting division is really an internal services bureau working to support departments throughout the city, and we're very much tied to the ERP solution and the core elements, the first elements that will go live from the new Port Edge solution will come early 2027, and that's all in the financial realm. Since I have the microphone, I wanted to call out a couple of quick things for you as well. One, the FY27 proposed budget, as you see it, is posted now to the Finance Department website. Right beside it should be an interactive user guide that taxpayers and residents in general can use to better understand the budget. Additionally, we have added a data dump of the line item detail that you see throughout the budget book, dump that in Excel. That's on the web, not only for FY27, but for the years FY22 to 26. If you scroll down through the budget column there on the website, you'll find that those have been added for back years so that you have access to that data if it supports your efforts. Additionally, the monthly report for March, the monthly summary financial report, I'll have that out in the next day or so. It's kind of been on the back burner waiting for final review as we've been building the budget book. And I very quickly will wrap up and make sure that you have the April financials as well, because I know how important that is to the process when you're considering the budget. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Next up is Planning and Sustainability Director Peter Britz.
Good evening. So one of the things we do is development review, and in 2025 there were 435 housing units reviewed in our department, with 127 workforce housing units and 15 ADUs. So the Planning and Sustainability Department is a 10-person staff made up of 8 planners and 2 administrative staff. We manage development review, as I said, long-range planning, sustainability and resilience, open space protection and monitoring. The staff in our department manage the following land use boards: the Planning Board, the Board of Adjustment, the Historic District Commission, Conservation Commission, and the Technical Advisory Committee. In addition, our staff supports the Sustainability Committee, the Housing Committee, the Portsmouth Energy Advisory Committee, and we also work with Coast Transportation and the Rockingham Planning Commission. Recent and ongoing planning efforts in the department in terms of long-range planning include the citywide master plan, which is, as you know, underway and moving along. The heat resilience study, which we should be finishing up later this summer, looking at heat resilience under our climate action plan. The Market Square master plan, which was completed last year. The climate action plan and the bicycle pedestrian master plan. And that's it.
And if you can count photos in the slide that Peter has, the 11th person is the intern finishing up the heat study.
Oh, yeah, if you count over here. Yep. Sabrina.
Next up is Chief Inspector Shanti Wolf.
Good evening, Mayor, Assistant Mayor, City Council, City staff. Did you know this year is a statewide building code and fire code change? So from July through December, we'll be transitioning from the 21 codes to the 24 codes. So it'll be our job to educate the permit applicants along the way, and there will be a choice between those 2 codes until January 1st, 2027. What do we do? By and large, permitting inspections, the largest portion of what our department does. It's spend a lot of time with the applicants before a permit is even issued. We pride ourselves on thorough plan review to help projects move smoothly with minimal issues during the inspection process. Education, so permitting and inspections kind of that go hand in hand. Education, building codes and materials constantly evolving. It's our job to stay current. We share that knowledge with the community to make sure that the projects are safer, easier, and more successful. We also partner with the local and state building officials chapters and the town of Newington. We provide free training sessions. We try to do these monthly for contractors, homeowners, and developers, and it's been a pretty big hit. Along with a big hit is consultations. We offer kind of a pre-purchase and pre-lease walkthrough. Restaurants, retail, residential apartments, or any other use. The inspection department, along with other relevant departments, we can attend a site visit to identify city or code requirements, structural deficiencies, anything that may need to be addressed prior to or after the purchase or the lease of the property. This service really helps to establish trust and fosters a positive working relationship between the new business or the property owner and the city. In summary, our focus is to deliver timely, consistent permitting and inspections, provide strong plan review and early guidance that reduces issues later on, and support the community through education and proactive consultations so projects can move forward safely and efficiently. Thank you.
Thanks, Shanti. Health Director Kim McNamara, you're up.
Good evening. Did you know that our most recent hire, health inspector, is a ham radio operator, which is very convenient if we're in a public health emergency and other communication systems go down. So in addition to the restaurant work that we do that you all seem to know a lot about, we have some highlights of work that we're doing this year. On the left here, you'll see Cameron Hersey, our other health inspector, in our new medical supply trailer. This trailer will allow us to go out rapidly if we have to do mass vaccination or mass antibiotic dispensing to the community at large for broad public health exposures. We're elevating the health and all policies in citywide, hopefully in the, or working on the master plan as well to get it a little more prominent in that. But that is really an effort to consider things like equity and inclusion and health in all the decisions that are made for infrastructure planning, programmatic planning, and so on and so forth. And also, this year we're going to post online inspections of food service results, which is pretty standard nationally. So those are the items that we're working on. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Public Works Director Peter Rice is next.
Good evening, Peter Rice, Director of Public Works. As you may know, the Public Works Department is made up of 6 divisions: the Highway Division, Water, Sewer, Stormwater, Parking, and Prescott Park. Tonight, I will be discussing the Highway Division, which is solely funded by the General Fund. Other divisions, which are enterprise funds and special revenue funds, will be spoken to on Wednesday. Fun fact, household hazardous waste day saw its highest participation, an increase to 30% this Saturday, which is great. This year's budget reflects a continued focus on succession planning and a significant effort to improve operational efficiencies by integrating the technical expertise we have available in our other divisions and to integrate them across the department, leveraging resources to complete work in-house when practicable. The result of this effort has yielded a reduction in the Highways Division of 3.1 FTE from 53.65 down to 50.55, with an overall reduction in the entire department of 1 FTE. The 2027 Highway Division budget maintains core functions and level of service that are currently provided by the city's Highway Division, and these core functions include the facilities operations, solid waste recycling management, street and bridge maintenance, capital project management, green space care, grounds care, and public outreach and permitting. In addition to these core functions, the Highway Division supports other departments with special events, capital projects, and a myriad of other things. All the divisions within the department continue the effort to complete more work in-house. Completing work in-house is significantly cheaper. It is more responsive from a scheduling standpoint. And if anybody's tried to hire a contractor to do a small job recently, it's very difficult to get them to show up in a timely manner. So by doing as much as we can in-house, we're able to respond more quickly. There's a couple of examples here. Some of you may not realize it, but the Leary Field grandstands needed some safety improvements, and that was completed by staff, which included welding, carpentry work, and concrete work, and this all needed to get done in order to have be ready for opening day. So this was something that was done by our staff. City Hall cabinetry, which is just an example of some of the finished cabinetry our staff is able to complete. If you've ever hired finished carpenters, they are in high demand, and this is an amazing asset that we have. Our sign shop is a great example of realizing an opportunity. The Hanover Garage project had a budget item of $160,000 to complete a sign package which had Braille signage throughout the facility. We realized that we could purchase a 3D printer that could do that for $30,000 and then complete all that work in-house. We also could use that same equipment to complete the signage you see outside of Conference Room A and some of the signage down the hallway. That sign alone was quoted to cost $1,300. We were able to complete that for less than $50. So it was efforts that were done by the staff and taken on. So we're really proud of that. And then finally, the ability to respond quickly. There was an accident down on Mechanic Street about a month ago, and within a day and a half, staff had the sidewalk and the bollards all back in place and up and running. And by the time the insurance agent came out, he just was like, "Where's the accident I'm supposed to be looking at?" So we had pictures, fortunately, so that was not a problem. So it's great to see these things, but overall, the budget maintains the level of service currently provided while working to align staffing resources to improve efficiency. So, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Library Director Christine Fries is next.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks to a very generous federal ARPA fund, you will now see the library's first bookmobile running around the city. We're at the Farmers Market, we've been at Children's Day, and I hope you'll see us this summer at an outreach event or tooling around for our homebound delivery, which is in its second year. While we offer spaces to work, study, converse, enjoy throughout the library, and we have an average of 550 people a day visiting, that can go up to as much as 1,000 for things like the splash reception, a very favorite spring thing here. We also have a lot of users who only come into the library virtually. So we have many online programs. We have all of the resources that they find to download, and some of those are for fun, like Libby audiobooks and ebooks, and some of them are to prepare for career moves. As a trusted source of information in the city, we are always finding new ways to provide information to folks when and where they need it. And we have recently begun a new series called Ask an Expert, which includes services like mental health assistance from local providers and Great Bay Community College's Work Ready New Hampshire. I was able to speak to one of their classes this week and discovered that one of the people in the class is a regular library user who discovered the class at the library, which shows us preparation for career opportunities, which we're very happy with. This year, you're going to see some other programs in the library that help the public understand the uses of AI, very, very important topic everywhere. And you're also going to see some more civics and election preparation. Again, as a trusted source of information, we try to provide all sorts of information to folks throughout the year. So thank you.
Recreation Director Todd Henley's up.
Good evening. Did you know that the Recreation Department manages the city's annual holiday parade, coordinating over 70 floats, bands, and walking units, representing more than 1,200 participants and attracting more than 10,000 viewers downtown? And we do that with collaboration with DPW and police, too. Bringing community together is what we do, and we do it in a variety of ways. from scheduling practice and game fields for teams to come together, to providing the lights so that we can skate together, to managing a large community pool so we can swim together, to organizing small and large special events to celebrate together. Here are just a few of the highlights of the many ways we help gather in a safe and fun environment. Field and park management is about community choreography, balancing programs, public access, events, and maintenance across many shared spaces. We have year-round scheduling of the turf complex, along with our grass athletic fields, parks, Fort Tree Island, Prescott Park weddings, and more. And we work with our DPW partners to constantly ensure everything is clean, safe, and accessible. We coordinate the scheduling and provision of lights and portable toilets across multiple parks, fields, and outdoor recreation sites, so that games and skateboarding can happen under the lights, and so that there are proper places for a pit stop during pickleball or on the rail trail. We oversee daily operations at the Pierce Island Pool, staffing and training certified lifeguards, maintaining quality and safety standards, and scheduling public swim times and lessons. We provided swim lessons to 769 children and hosted over 23,600 visitors last summer. Finally, our special events are designed to bring people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities together through shared experiences that are fun, welcoming, and accessible year-round. Events span a variety of interests so that there's always something for everyone. Seasonal celebrations, family-friendly activities, wellness and active events, arts and culture shows, and senior and intergenerational gatherings. And I get to stay up here and talk about senior services next. Did you know that Senior Services partners with Gather Mobile Market to provide on-site mobile pantry services every other Monday at 2 p.m. at the Senior Activity Center? That's just one way that Senior Services supports the well-being of our older community. The Senior Activity Center offers classes designed to be approachable, social, and adaptable for different ability levels. Classes help people stay active and improve mobility, balance, and prevent falls. Physical health links to brain health, and attending activities encourages daily movement. The center is not just a place to go, it's a place to connect, stay engaged, and feel a sense of purpose. Visiting and attending programs combats isolation and loneliness, creates meaningful relationships, and supports mind-body wellness. A true sense of community for older adults, our facility offers regular opportunities to engage with others, encouraging conversation and interaction. It is welcoming to all backgrounds and abilities, and people feel a sense of belonging. Our meals, concerts, classes, events, arts, and shared experiences are all ways to feel a part of the community. Lastly, we offer low-stress, affordable, fun, and exciting trips. Whether it be local staff-led trips or international group tours, we make travel accessible when single or on a limited budget, breaking the routine and enriching lives, encouraging those to continue doing the things that they have always loved. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Our Welfare Director, Jody Carnes, is up next.
Hi, good evening, Council, Mayor and Council. I am your Welfare Director. As of in 2 more days, I'll be here 2 years, so welcome. And I am a staff of 1.5. I see about 30 to 40 clients monthly. We track activity. It could be a phone call, it could be an intake, it could be an interview. Last year we estimated 900. It was 922. Currently this year we are at 830. I've been working great with Brooke and the social PD, and we're initiatives is the opioid outreach, which we'll be signing on soon. So we're getting that started. I meet with PHA monthly or quarterly, and I'm on the phone with them doing more and more case management, and more case management has been able to service our most vulnerable.
Great.
We also do social services. So we fund 23 agencies. We've increased their budget 11,005 this time. We work great hand in hand with them and their ability to help us help our residents. Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Fire Chief Bill McQuillan's up next.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Councilors. Bill McQuillan, Fire Chief. And my did you know fact for the council is as follows. Did you know that when people don't know what else to do, they call the fire department? Whether it's a leaky pipe at 2 in the morning or helping an elderly loved one back in a bed or into a car, they call for that lift assist, in addition to calling us for the standard 911 calls that we see each and every day. This year, I'm here to talk a little bit about the new training position. We have a new deputy fire chief that we're proposing that we had come up with last year, and we're back this year. This position is funded from the savings and workers' comp moving forward. But I think one of the things that that we need to talk about is not only what it'll do, but some of the efficiencies. So it's going to be able to standardize and track our fire and EMS training activities across all of our different crews. We're going to coordinate with the hospital with respect to making sure that the Portsmouth Fire Department is on the cutting edge of medicine and emergency medicine and delivering that in the field in a timely manner. Our goal is to get the right care to the patient at the right time and get them to the hospital in a timely manner. And as Director Rice mentioned, one of the efficiencies that this position is going to do is we're going to work on commercial driver's licensing and take that in-house. We believe that this position is going to show substantial savings in future years, saving about $4,500 per employee to not have to send them to a school, to take that responsibility in-house. And in the first year alone, recognizing that we're going to have to train about 20 firefighters and 10 public works employees a year. Moving forward, that will show some substantial savings. Additionally, we're looking to make sure that we increase our strategic capabilities and strategic planning and succession planning for the organization. Additionally, the fire department's core functions are still going to be met with respect to suppression, rescue, 911, and ALS response, hazardous materials, marine waterfront environment, our permitting, education, inspection, and investigation plans, in addition to disaster recovery, response, and preparedness and mitigation efforts. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Next up is Police Chief Mark Newport.
Good evening, Mayor, Assistant Mayor, councilors, and staff. I'd like to thank you for your continued support. And I will start with our did you know, what you guys already know because you recognize this, is that we are the first police department in the state of New Hampshire to be accredited nationally through CALEER and through the state, which is a big accomplishment. But I will add one other did you know that you do not know, is that your support in providing the wage adjustments to our patrol officers has made a significant impact on our biggest impediment, which is staffing. As I sit in front of you today, our current staffing number is 60 police officers, but we have 7 candidates that I will be hiring in the next 3 weeks that will be going through the academy in July that will fill all of our currently open positions. So thank you for that support. The accomplishments that we had wrapping up this FY26 is Nathan stole most of my thunder because talked about our full implementation of our CAD-RMS system, which is our computer operating system, which has been fantastic. The rollout of the body cameras are fully implemented and have made a significant difference. One of the biggest differences, we were hearing a lot of complaints with our animal control officer, and since she's had a body camera, we have not had one complaint, so knock on wood on that. Moving forward, talking about recruiting, as I just stated, that the wage adjustment that we made for patrol was a difference maker. In the last 3 months, we have 7 full-time candidates that will be starting momentarily, so that's a positive. Looking at our 30 by 30 initiative, 4 out of those 7 candidates are women, so we're definitely making a big increase in that impact. already spoke on the CALIA. We are currently, as we speak, going through a reassessment right now on our accreditation, which is smooth sailing for us because we just finished our state accreditation, so we're constantly being assessed. And the last step, well, I'll start with, we are continuing to move forward with a new police facility or renovated facility or whatever that facility to look at some point in time, but I think in our last meeting with the Blue Ribbon Committee and JSA, we're making some positive steps, and that should continue to progress forward. And lastly, our big initiative that we're looking to move forward with in this year is technology is advancing super fast in police work, and we're looking at a real-time crime center that will be a game changer in the way we patrol and respond to calls, and we've applied for grants to hopefully cover the expense of the startup of that program. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Staff Superintendent Zach McLaughlin.
Good evening, members of the council. This is usually the time of year where we're kicking off the conversation about schools. Well, obviously, we've been in the conversation about schools a bunch, so it's good to see you all again. The did you know for the district tonight is just, you know, the fact that we've got not one but two different teachers of the year inside of our schools this year have been recognized across the state of New Hampshire. One as the civics teacher of the year, Cynthia Young, and the other as the career and technical education teacher of the year, Gordon Reynolds, who's a computer science teacher. It's just a great example of the quality of educators that are serving in the schools in Portsmouth, and a reminder that the strategic work we're doing is being carried out by talented people in your district. As we think about initiatives and we think about kind of the strains we've been trying to talk about that have been put on as a result of some of the challenges connected to health insurance, as we go through that and we have to make difficult choices, we keep coming back to the strategic plan that we developed in conjunction with the community. We're finishing up year 2 of a 5-year strategic plan. You'll recall that strategic plan was started with kind of setting what our North Star was going to be, which was our portrait of a graduate, in collaboration with the community through focus groups, survey work, et cetera. We developed our portrait of what are the characteristics a student should have when they walk across the stage and they get a diploma at Portsmouth High School. And ultimately, we came to a passion for knowledge, global awareness and community contribution, collaboration and communication, transferable skills, personal well-being, and empathy and kindness. To get to that end goal, we develop our 5-year strategic plan. Right now, the things you see in bold are the kind of the big 3 focus areas, the big 3 buckets of work that we're doing across those 5 years. We're trying to make sure that we have a rigorous and aligned K-12 curriculum, that we continue to build on educator capacity. We already have a strong staff, but we want to continue to improve. And then that we're looking at student safety in a couple of different ways simultaneously. One is social emotional safety and well-being, and the other is the physical safety of our buildings through security measures. 3 key kind of initiatives that are ongoing as we speak underneath each of those things. We've done a lot of work in the current year around developing kind of our framework around curriculum mapping, which will create greater alignment between and across classes in our district, and we'll be rolling out some of that work into buildings in the upcoming year. We've been working on a redesign of the way in which we provide feedback to all of our staff. We're about to run a micro pilot of that in the next couple of weeks, which will build into our larger pilot that we'll be running in the fall. And we are in the ongoing process of collecting more data from students around their experience of school. So when we think about the work that we're doing, it's not exclusively based on achievement data and test scores. It's also what is your experience within our buildings, and what does that look like? So each of those initiatives are rooted in our strategic plan, and will continue even as we go through some of the fiscal struggles we're facing right now to come back to rerouting any of the proposals we have for you and the decisions we make back to that work that we initially started with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. And we'll end where we started. As mentioned at the outside, tonight is the first of 5 opportunities for the public to provide input and for us to hear from you and to understand your thoughts on what we've presented here tonight. So thank you very much.
Open up to council questions. Councilor Morrow.
I wonder if Chief Newport could give us an update on the dispatch numbers as well, because I know that was one of the other areas that police struggled both last year and through the year. I know you talked about the officers, but I know dispatch has been a problem as well.
I was so excited about the officers that I forgot dispatch, but we're currently at 8 dispatchers. We're currently budgeted for 9, but we have 2 in training. We have 2 trainers that are out on maternity leave, so we're not capable of training anybody new, so we're holding off on the 9th person at this time.
Thanks. Chief, I have a question for you too. I was wondering, with the CALEA credential, congratulations. I know it's new, but does that factor in any other of the current coverage assessment in terms of insurances, because you have that credential? I mean, maybe it's too soon to know, but.
Yeah, I think overall it lowers our liability because we are following the newest and best practices, our policies and how we do things. But I haven't seen a direct correlation to the cost of that area right now.
Thank you.
Anybody else before me?
Councilor Tabor?
While the chief's there, I was going back through the matrix report, which breaks down a lot of data, and they said that a typical call for service involves 45 minutes of report writing. 9,500 calls a year, 45 minutes on each of those calls writing a report is 137 hours a week. And it just got me to thinking, have we looked at using AI to streamline that and gain efficiencies there?
Yes, we actually hosted a training at AI and police work last week here in Portsmouth at the PD. There's a lot of new technical problems that have come with AI. With AI, as far as police work works, the input that goes into AI is only as good as the input that it comes out of it. So what's been going on across law enforcement and from some of the conferences I've attended is they're learning that some of the information is not accurate, so that you have to go back and still go through the report. So there hasn't been a lot of time savings in that instance yet, but as the technology advances, I'm sure there'll be some time savings.
Thanks.
Councilor Bagley?
Thanks, Your Honor. A couple questions for Nathan.
All right.
Just to review, over the past 2 fiscal years, if this budget is adopted as is, we're looking at a total reduction of FTEs of 21.47 by my math, and in the general fund of 19.77. I think that's worth highlighting, because we did add positions after COVID. We found efficiencies, and now we're starting to see the success of that approach. The other thing that I wanted to flip back to was one of the very first slides. Obviously, anyone that's spent any time with the budget this year, the huge driver is health insurance costs, making up over half of the budget. And there was a slide, yeah, the breaking down the 5.11% slide.
Yes, sir.
I think it's worth noting that the $1.57 million school care assessment is not included in this slide, nor should it be.
Right.
But it just, it's an additional substantial cost that is driving our budget in healthcare, and I just want to make sure, because it wasn't included in the FY26 budget because we didn't know about it, and it's not included in the FY27 budget because it was paid for with FY26 funds after the fact. I just want to re-highlight that that's a substantial expense that our residents have to pay, even though it's not technically in either budget.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The reality is that the FY27 impact on health insurance of $3.3 million, when added to the $1.57 million of school care, is $4.9 million in this cycle that you'll see additional cost between the assessment and the budget increase. So I appreciate you calling that out. Thank you.
And then the last comment, I think it's 12 years in a row now that we've had the AAA bond rating. That was recently confirmed again.
Yeah, we thank you very much. AAA, the Standard & Poor's did did renew or reaffirm our AAA status. We went back and counted again, and we were working with how to talk about this. The reality is in 2020, as we were just launching into the pandemic in that spring, we were prepared to, but did not bond, and we did not rate. So in that year, we don't have a number to talk about, but since 2013, every year, we have been able to reaffirm, or we've been reaffirmed on that AAA. So proud of that. It certainly has an impact on our interest cost.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
A couple, first, thank you guys and everybody that put the work into getting us to this point. Some things I think would be helpful, at least for me. One of the, I guess the easier point, we asked for between 3.5% and 5%, and if we look at tax rate increase, that was 4.88%. It would be helpful to know what would be required to get us to the 3.5% line items that either in a report back, or Nathan is like sitting in his frontal cortex right now, but we can.
I think you had that. We talked about.
1.675 million.
No, sorry. Oh, yes, I know the number, and it's, yes, identifying what it is. Yep.
Right.
And so like.
That's harder.
Yeah, it's roughly the amount of the school care assessment.
Yeah.
And that would be helpful as a report back in terms of line items. Then I think in terms of, I guess, just growth, and we'll note that last year outside of health insurance costs, everything besides that grew at 2.96%. I went back and I looked at that. This year it's down to 2.90, so better control of growth outside of healthcare. I think it would be helpful, though, to know what is fixed contractual legal obligations that we have, like COLAs, collective bargaining that's been settled. What's an increased cost for the same service? So something that is now costing more. And then what is a new cost center? I think that's the thing that sometimes is hard to identify, because they can go into different, and this is across all water, enterprise funds, but just to see where we're creating new cost centers, even though we're reducing. Is that report back? This might not be easy to do, but understood?
Yes, and it should, I would say out loud, it should be fairly direct, because this budget was built upon a continuing services, so identifying the first two should be fairly direct, and there should be very little of the new service area to kind of drill into, but.
And I think like shifting things around to like water and sewer, and sometimes that's like even like and that's where I think it's super helpful to understand some of the partial ones, because the partial ones keep growing. Not that there's not a needed, service, but I think that's some of it would be helpful to know. And then lastly, in terms of reports, vacancies by department, I heard the chief says he's not going to have any in a week or so, so that's excellent. But how long have they been there? And then, this was really got me thinking, and I was kind of going where Councilor Tabor went in terms of, not necessarily having AI do the work, but just like, let's broadly speaking on technology. If we're looking at vacancies and we're looking at, ones and how long they've been there, how can we start planning for a time when software is going to be fully implemented and we're going to start seeing productivity gains there? Where can we start planning for some vacancies that we're not going to fill as a part of that, because we're going to be more efficient with that. And then I guess finally is more of a thematic, it's more of a comment than a question, so no more reports. But and we'll debate on the merits, the fire instructor, the way that it's played out or discussed, seems like there could be some real benefits. Would love to see what that $4,500 number for CDLs, how we can translate that across the city, and if it's saving money, great, and if it's improving care, fantastic, and what potential grants or chargebacks could be as a part of our ambulance services, all of those things. The only thing that kind of jumps off the page for me is I'd like to try to shift our way of thinking about this, is not departmental. And I know that the savings occurred in that department, but if we can move away from departmental, like thinking about it as departments that have budgets that will lose the money if they don't fill a position, that's where I'd like to get us away from, especially because I think we're gonna see a lot of efficiencies gained, and I would love to think about it as like one Portsmouth, school department, fire department, police department, knowing that if there's a good idea to be had and ways to go about and delivering that services, that we're able to fund that in the next year, and we're not always looking back and say, hey, we got to protect this position because it's protecting the budget, because in 3 years we know we're going to have this need. So just try to, I know that that's difficult, I know that's not, what we've been doing, but it's something that I think, nobody looks at. As much as we put it on the screen and the bar graphs are great in terms of by department spending, it's literally, it's the tax rate at the end, and trying to get people to see value for service, I think, is something, and I don't mean to pick on Chief McClellan. I think there's a great value in that position. I just want to try to think of it as in terms of a singular Portsmouth, not just even from a taxpayer standpoint, but from a responsibility to one city.
Okay.
All right, Councilor Cook. Thank you.
I had a question related to workers' compensation costs. While we had significant decreases in the fire department, which was encouraging, we had significant increases in schools and in police workers' comp costs. And so I'm hoping we can get kind of an explainer across the city budget on why we think that we're having increased drivers of workers' compensation costs, and who our providers are, and why different pools are increasing at a faster rate than others that are actually decreasing.
Happy to do that, absolutely.
Wasn't there a classification that changed on the fire department? Is that same classification applied to others?
So it does across the state. So as I understand it, we asked a bunch of questions of Primex as we launched into this cycle. And in the area of workers' comp, as I mentioned before, Primex across the state re-rated the volunteer call-in category and attributed greater risk to them and less risk overall to the professional full-time staff like we have. And so that's where we saw the reductions. I will say that we have challenged not only in the area of workers' comp, but that same pool provides our property and liability, and we've challenged and asked there. I'm sure that they will watch this on the replay and appreciate why I said we need to have more information as we march towards conversations with the council and public. But they are laying a lot of it on an ongoing basis right now. They're laying a lot of the increases on reinsurance, increased costs, et cetera, and across the board, they took off we used to have a multi-year cap, a contribution limit that we had agreed to. You agree to stay with them 3 years, they've eliminated the caps altogether because they're not able to work within that. And this all goes back to can you assess, can you not assess, and the risk to the pool as costs rise and claims maybe rise. So it will be a pleasure to provide a backgrounder on that whole thing, and I'm sure they will be happy to help us.
As a follow-on there, can we do it across all insurance categories? Can we look at, because we know the drivers in health insurance, because we've been having that discussion, but workers' comp, dental, which you mentioned earlier, there are increases in dental as well. Yep. So any category, can we look at all of them and see what, can we compare them and see what the drivers are across departments, because we have different departmental policies?
Yeah, not a lot of volunteer police departments.
No.
Up there.
No.
The best.
Just another question that popped into mind. There is a increase of, I think, 0.6 position in the inspection department. Would expect that to allow us a greater volume of inspections. Would we see any difference on the revenue side for permitting because of that?
So we saw last year and then have seen this year revenues generated in excess of what we'd estimated. You know what, I don't have it in front of me, so I won't speak to it specifically, but yeah, I think the department head, Chanti, has been really direct over the course of this year, and was in that conversation, that if we reached a point where the revenues weren't started to fall off. If there was a slowdown, permit income revenues was falling, he recognized that might mean a reduction in the staff. There was absolutely a need when we made the move from 0.4 to 1.0. It was because of the volume, for sure.
So I guess the question I'm asking maybe a little different way is, could we expect to see a greater volume of permitting go through the system because we're taking a 0.4 position and making it a 1.0 position?
If I can jump in for that. We have seen it because we started with Mike full-time in the inspection group in July of 2025. So we have seen an increase in the permitting because he's been able to devote his full-time attention to just doing inspections for the team rather than split his time between the SCADA group and working as a staff person with the DPW team. Now he's full-time with Shanti, helping with what was the busiest man in the inspections department, John Plord, the electrical inspector, for sure.
Okay, so is this categorizing an existing position or recategorizing an existing position?
Shifting the pay.
It's reflecting it. It's reflecting in the budget because we took it out of contingency for fiscal '26 because of the need.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's proven itself already.
Okay. Councilor Tabor?
I had a question for Zach. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, sorry.
I hope you can enlighten us on the addition of a administrative position, the assistant superintendent position, I think it's called.
Within the proposal, and actually this is a position we have already hired. This is the Assistant Director of Student Services. So this is direct response to the concerns we had last year around out-of-district placement costs within special education. And actually this is a gentleman that will start working for us on July 1, but was actually on the ground today, taking a vacation day from his other job to come and start meeting with folks here in the district around his work, which will be a combination of overseeing our out-of-district placements of students. So he'll be the point person liaison with families for those out-of-district placements, and then also coordinating with programs here within the district.
Okay. Obviously, someone could look at the school budget and say, boy, we're not replacing some retiring teachers, but we're adding somebody administratively
Sure.
for the special ed function. And I looked, I think there's 77 positions in all dedicated to special education. So I'll just ask the question, could we have done that within existing headcount?
We've had a lot of conversation about this, and our conclusion was no. Not if we're going to bend the cost curve that really dominated our conversation with the council last year about the cost of special education. So that position is in a direct response to the concerns that we were in last year, where our out-of-district placement costs continue to go up. And as a result of that, we were in a position where we laid off, we laid off multiple people last year to try to cover the difference and fit within the budget that was provided us. So this is a direct response to that concern, both so that we can provide better special education services to those students, but also so that we can do it in a more efficient way, so that we're not forced on an annual basis to continue to kind of eat away at the rest of our budget in order to pay for those costs.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with Lisa today about this too. I guess the theory is if we can take students with special needs and intervene early and steadily over time, then we don't have to have as many out-of-district placements, which
Correct.
have been going up and are a very rapidly rising cost.
They have been, but the
It's
rate
kinda
at which
flat this year,
we've started to flatten out this year already. And so our hope is that we're going to take that and go from a flattening to a decrease over time. And we think that's best for students ethically in terms of making sure students are here in their home schools, in their neighborhoods, with their friends, not on a bus off to another location or in a residential placement, and are able to be more a part of our community. And at the same time, that we think that we're going to be in a position where over time we're going to be able to build the capacity to do that in a more cost-effective way than sending those students off to private placements.
Great. And just quickly, the 2 tutor positions that were eliminated, were they ESSER positions?
No, those are general fund positions.
Thanks.
Zach, while you're up there, could you speak a little to the transportation costs going up this year?
I'll be honest, and that'll be one I'll have to report back to you on.
Okay.
So, yep.
Any other questions before we jump to public comment? Seeing none? Public comment.
Good evening, Council. Esther Kennedy, 41 Pickering Ave, Portsmouth. First of all, I want to thank you for getting the Excel spreadsheet out. It went up. I appreciate that. It makes life a little easier to understand. I'm going to switch my just talk tonight a little differently because of what was just said. I would encourage everyone to look at the cost centers in the school 151, 152, and 153, which is what Councilor Tabor was talking about. I was a little incensed that this position was hired before it came to you folks and passed the budget. I have gone to the school board meetings. I came here when we originally brought the budget up with my concerns. We are taking and adding management, and yet it looks like the para supports are going down. So I would encourage you to look at those cost centers. And I find it amazing, as someone who has spent almost 35 years in special needs, 28 of it as administrator, that we're putting all our energy on one person to save the whole problem. It's a cultural problem that needs a whole lot of change from the top down. And to say one person's going to come in and save the day and lower that, last year it was at 5.379 million, and this year we're going to add 227,000 to it. That out of district just amazes me. Management is not going to save this problem. It's going to be educating your staff. It's going to be educating your support staff. It's going to be a whole administrative philosophy on the fact that we're going to do everything we can to keep children in our district and not send them out. It takes more than one person. And I'm really sad that we added, and you can see those in those accounts, we added all this money for management and not for the people that actually will be working day to day with the children. So I encourage you to look at that for further conversation. Going out to other areas of the budget, and again, this was a short turnaround. I'm a little disappointed at that. We've had a very short time. But I guess when I looked at the recreational admin, all of a sudden electricity popped up as a big increase. My question would be why? And our mayor kind of approached on this, but I saw in a lot of spots, it said automation, computer software. At what point are we done buying software? It's a lot of money. And again, you folks are allowing a huge increase to a budget. I don't know many people that are going to get a 5.1% increase
in their household this year. I don't, unless you're a city official, because if you're a city official, you're getting a big increase. And I know Peter Hood is going to talk about that. And there's a couple other questions. I'm glad it got brought up about the county. My question was, who went to that meeting? I'm glad to hear that our business administrator did, but as a counselor, I went to that meeting. And I would question it, and I would speak, because the county has inevitably taken a little bit more and more and more. And I guess I'm kind of upset that none of you went, except for our business administrator, so they could hear from our counselors. This is a huge expense. This is a huge expense on our budget, and something that I think if we fight, and I know I did once and fought, and they did question it and brought it down. And, you know, I look at the fire area, and I guess my question is, at what point do we say we don't really need a Marine Patrol? Because they're not really a Marine Patrol. When I'm out on my boat and I'm in trouble, I'm not going to think of calling the Portsmouth Fire Department. I call the Coast Guard. They have a radio channel. I call the Port Authority. The Navy base is out there all the time on the water. And if any one of you want to go for a ride on a beautiful Saturday, I'll introduce you to everyone. So I guess that's a huge expense. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of expertise, and I'm not sure a little tiny fireboat we really need, given what's already out there and who I am going to call. And the Coast Guard is going to come and get me. They will not save my boat, but they have guaranteed that they will come and get me and save me as the best they can. They might let my boat go floating away. I know that. But they've guaranteed that. And I'm not sure a fireboat is even going to save my boat either. So I would just ask you to consider that. You know, we commend the fire department for coming in low, but then again, they did ask for a fire truck, a fireboat, and another fire apparatus off budget time, shall we say. And lastly, I have to ask, our bond premiums are going up. $1,919,230. Why? It was nice. I commend you for the Excel spreadsheet and the years of information, but you can see that growth. In this time, where gas prices are where they are, people are trying to figure out what to pay for. You all have said you want to support people to be able to live in Portsmouth. You haven't created the housing. You've created high-end housing, but you haven't created very much housing for, as you like to say, workforce or even lower. The one thing you can do is keep this budget low. The one thing you can do at least is to get it to about 3%. And that's what the average person is going to get this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
Peter Huda, Portsmouth. So tonight, I wanted to speak to you about the FY27 salary budget and what appears to be a growing disconnect between national compensation trends and what is being proposed here in Portsmouth. And remind you, as Nathan said, and as everybody knows, personnel costs are your largest cost. This has nothing to do with the benefits that are attached to this after that almost double the cost. So nationally, employers are budgeting an average salary increase for 2026, 2027 of 3 to 4%. That is the current market reality across both public and private sectors. Even after inflation spikes of recent years, most organizations are pulling compensation growth back to these sustainable levels. Against that backdrop, Portsmouth's 2027 salary proposals deserves closer scrutiny because many of these increases are significantly exceed national norms. Throughout the proposal, we see repeated salary increases far above national norms, not just isolated adjustments, but a pattern of double-digit increases, reclassifications, title upgrades, and newly created positions. In the packet, you'll notice first thing that was presented was COLAs of 3.3%. Keep that in the back of your mind. So, a few examples of different increases as I went through just the salary perspective here. Look at and I'm looking at last year's salary versus this year's salary. It's in your budget book presented the same way. A few examples. Deputy City Attorney position increased 16.7%. IT Software Solutions and Support Director 16.7%. Support Tech Instructor 16.8%. Revenue Administrator 16.3%. Revenue Assistant 19%. Multiple tax positions between 12 and 14%. Several planning inspections IT positions rise more than 11%. So this is not just simply keeping pace with inflation. This is a substantial expansion of compensation spending. Because when residents hear salary adjustments, they assume modest cost of living increases. They do not expect widespread increases of 2%, 3%, and 4% higher than national averages, especially while residents themselves are struggling with property taxes, rents, utilities, and basic affordability. So the question becomes, are these simply market corrections, reorganizations, merit increases, or is this a broader structural expansion of administrative compensation? What is especially troubling is the concentration of these increases within administrative and management structures. The budget reflects a compensation strategy that appears to be heavily weighted toward selective internal adjustments, title changes, and upward reclassifications. Some may well be justified for recruitment or retention purposes, especially for technical and specialized roles, but the public deserves transparency regarding whether these adjustments are tied to documented performance or operational outcomes. So because these salaries are locked into the base budget, they compound permanently through future budgets, benefits, retirement obligations, and pension exposure. The council should be extremely cautious about normalizing double-digit compensation growth while asking taxpayers to absorb continued financial pressure year after year. Fair compensation matters, competitive pay matters, but fiscal discipline matters too. The public is not questioning whether employees deserve fair pay. The public is questioning whether the scale, concentration, and structure of these increases are fiscally sustainable and properly justified. So I ask you to look at these first and foremost, because this is one of the greatest increases that you have. And I have not even looked past the budget further, because when I saw some of these increases, and I mentioned it at home, I just said, well, you know, how much did we get this year? And it's in the 3 and 4s. To see something go up 16, 19% on different positions, and mostly in management and mostly higher level. And oh, by the way, none of your ads in here with all your smoke and mirrors going from one position to another position, none of that was covered. And I'd like to bring some of those to your attention. We have a new prosecution supervisor position, $91,000. New assistant finance director, $117,000. New environmental planner sustainability coordinator position, $87,000. New tax assessor, $107,000. So there are increases here that I don't see being presented separately, but they're in there. And positions are being increased, which is fine, but it's not really clear about what's happening here. And there are the difference between a full-time equivalent and a full-time position is not really clear to me. So I had to go back and look at what you're actually trying to say. And the movement again this year between general and all of the public works departments is phenomenal. So I urge you to look at this. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Seeing no one else, oh, is there somebody else? No? Oh, Councilor Cook, did you have a question?
I do. I have a question about state reimbursement that I'm hoping that we can track back to 2010. The state of New Hampshire used to cover approximately 30% of retirement funds up until 2010, at which time they put a pause on that and quit compensating us. Then there was a time during COVID where there was a one-time contribution. Is there a way to go back to 2010 and look at the amount of money the state had been compensating before at that rate and what we have lost essentially in state compensation since 2010?
Yes. I'm looking because we make a, not counting, what, I know I did that.
We will be sure
Yeah, we'll be sure to find it. They're in the book somewhere. We make reference to a number that is 38 million-ish right now, lost in the interim, lost since that change was made. As you call it out and ask about it, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I netted out of that the one-time 7.5% that came back. So to be fair to the state, I guess maybe I should make sure we include that. But we've maintained a historic spreadsheet over all of those years and bragged that number out, if you will, as a ding against the state because of that loss against teachers and teachers and police, no, just teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the biggest impact. So
Okay.
we can definitely we'll dig that out, make sure we reference it and update it.
I would love to make sure that we have it in our book, that it's really clear that the lack of funding that is coming from the state at this point, when they had made promises as far as obligations go in retirement funds.
Excellent.
Okay, well, thank you again, Nathan. Look forward to the reports that you're able to produce. A reminder that public comment will be opened with public hearing. Sorry, it's an unlimited amount of time. The public hearing, we will hold that open through the month of May, and if there's a need that arises, we'll have multiple meetings in order to hear about that. And again, want to thank the effort that goes in. I think that everybody is dealing with uncertainty with inflation. We're dealing it with COLAs and seeing the costs for the same go up. I think every department, everybody on the council, and every citizen has a responsibility to ask all of the questions that we're going to be asking over the next month that we've been asking, going back to January with the school department, to make sure that we are delivering the best, most efficient government for the least amount of money to the most people that's possible. That's the goal that we need to hold ourselves to, because we need to be able to deliver a certain amount of, or not a certain amount, we need to deliver accountability and for folks to know, as they do, that the money that is being spent is returning back to them in terms of services that they want. And if it's not, then we don't have those services anymore. And that's the question that is always before us and will be before us again before we pass this budget. So thanks again. Good night, Portsmouth.